Okay, and we're rolling. So, I just wanted to say I know that these reviews are showing up later in the week than I intended, but hopefully I can get back to doing these reviews around Wednesday afternoon or Wednesday evening, because the past few weeks I've just been busy with a lot of stuff at work. And another thing is that if you hear chatter in the background, I'm filming in the basement of my house, and my mom and dad are busy watching a baseball game. So if you hear any whoas or anything, that's them upstairs. And I probably should have flowered this video up a little more, considering the fact I'm going to review an entire trilogy. And I'm reviewing the Toy Story trilogy, seeing how the fourth one, which is doing surprisingly well, I'm surprised that people really like it all that much. Since that one got released, I decided to review the Toy Story trilogy, and I saw it last Saturday with my friends Zach, Keller, and Joseph, and Eli. So this video is for you guys, and this video is going to be posted in our Messenger. So, I can see all your comments from all the crazy ass shit that I missed and never bothered to respond to. Okay, can you watch the video? Zach, don't post any videos below me. Don't steal my thunder. Because I think we all know that you stealing my thunder is as easy for you to do as a... For your ability to steal my thunder, that would be as easy to do as it would be for a 300-pound lineman to block a 2-pound mouse. Anyway, so I'll just go through the movies one by one. So the first Toy Story, which was released about a little over a year after I was born, it was the first CGI film at the time to be completely CGI, because at that point CGI was used more as a effect, not so much a complete style of animation. And so the main plot of the story is that Woody, a cowboy doll, goes from being the top toy in a little boy's house to number 2, and his jealousy causes him to knock the new top toy, Buzz, played by Tim Allen, out the window. So Woody, played by Tom Hanks, has to find a way to redeem himself and get back to Andy's house after he and Buzz get left behind at a gas station. I'm probably not going to go into the storylines for all the other movies because I think we all know them. And I've wasted 3 minutes of this freaking video. So, anyways. So, the one thing I really do like about the movie is that the animation for the toys, while it does look a little phony in parts, it looks pretty good. Even the animation on the humans didn't look as bad as I thought it was going to be when I was rewatching it. I do like this is if there's one thing I hate in movies is when they do the character arc of this person was kind of a dick, but then they eventually become a better person. In this one, Woody starts off as a decent guy, but then he starts getting jealous and he kind of becomes a little unlikable to an extent, but he does kind of have that whole thing where he goes through a redemption arc and he and Buzz end up becoming friends. And this is kind of what I find is missing from a lot of redemption arc movies with like Hot Rod, Purple Rain, and sort of Superbad is that they all had characters that were kind of rotten people at points, but the reason why Toy Story works is because Woody started off as a likable character, became unlikable, and then redeemed himself at the end. And I think in my mind, if you're going to do a story, the whole redemption story, or have a character be a jerk and learn to turn their life around or their personality around, you kind of need to either have them start off as likable at first, like this movie, or in some other movies' cases, kind of have some charm to them. But if you're going to have the character go to a point where they're kind of rotten, it would work better if they started off as a good person, then turn rotten, then go back. So that was kind of a good back and forth. The ending is surprisingly suspenseful for a kids movie where Woody and Buzz try to catch up to the moving van and try to get to Andy before it's too late. The one thing that is kind of funny is that for a G-rated movie, there is some dark imagery. I mean, nothing too traumatizing, but the whole thing with Sid's house, I look at him and there's like a lot of death metal band posters on there. It's actually kind of, a lot of the stuff is shot in the shadows. A lot of the toys are kind of creepy amalgamations of dolls and action figures, so it is kind of cool to see that. I don't really know what else I can say about this movie that doesn't really. I mean, there's a lot of stuff I could say about this movie that's praising it, but I don't really know what else I could say about it that isn't cliched. You know, and for all I know, most of the stuff I probably said in this review so far is pretty cliched. So the first one was a classic. It set the bar pretty high for Pixar animation, and that leads us perfectly into the second one, which was originally going to be a direct-to-video sequel, but then John Lasseter came in, who directed the first movie, and then he kind of tweaked it, and it became an animated film. And Toy Story 2 kind of holds a special place in my heart because that was the first movie I actually went to in the theater that I remember seeing, and I saw it multiple times. I think I saw it like maybe 4 or 5 times in the theater. And what I like about this movie is that where the first one did have some emotional drama, where Buzz sort of slowly comes to terms with the fact that he's a toy and learns to accept it, this movie kind of ups the emotion a little more with Woody being stuck in a little bit of a dilemma where he can either go back home to Andy after getting stolen by a toy collector, or he could stay with the toys in the collection to help them be appreciated by children in a museum in Japan. Otherwise, they just go back in storage. So it's actually a pretty good dilemma because there might be some people in the audience, not everyone, but there might be some people that can at least understand why Woody would decide to not go home to Andy. And another thing I like about this movie is that in the first movie, Buzz was kind of way up in the sky about what kind of reality he was living in, and Woody kind of had to talk him back down to being realistic. And this one, Buzz has to do that to Woody and another Buzz Lightyear action figure who's exactly the way Buzz was in the original movie. So that was kind of funny. I'm trying to think. I think the emotional highlight of the movie, and even Tom Hanks and Tim Allen said they cried when they saw the finished scene, but the When She Loved Me scene where Jessie tells Woody about her backstory and why she's very mockingly against Woody getting back to Andy. I think that was kind of a really well set up scene. And it kind of gives Jessie more depth because up until that scene, you kind of get the tick of some trauma that she's having, but she kind of seems like this goofy energy holic, over the top crazy person, but in the completely charming, sweet way, of course. So they got and they also got Frasier to voice one of the villains in this movie, Stinky Pete. And yes, in the trailer there is a fart joke. I really don't think they could have avoided that with a name like Stinky Pete. Um, okay. Yeah. Anyway, and I think what I really like about this movie a lot more than Toy Story is that the action, especially in the last 20 minutes when they're trying to save Woody from going on that plane to Japan, the action is upped a lot higher, which I think was something that The Incredibles 2 failed at, because where that movie started off raising the bar high with action, it constantly lowered the amount of awesomeness near the end. In Toy Story 2, they kind of up the ante as things go along. You have the opening scene, which is a video game, it turns out. You have Buzz chasing the car that has Woody in it. You have the trying to cross the road, a few fight scenes, and the final chase at the end. So the movie is almost like an action adventure family film more than anything else. I mean, not that there was zero action in the first Toy Story, but um, this one kind of tried to make it bigger and better. And there are some parts in the movie. If I had to say some criticism against Toy Story 2 is that it feels like some of the stuff is on repeat, like Buzz having to convince Woody to sort of get his head on straight, like Woody had to do to Buzz. The Buzz, well, I think the whole idea of Buzz Lightyear going against the other Buzz and the other Buzz being as delusional as the main Buzz, I think that's more of a meta joke more than a ripoff of something from the first movie. Um, so yeah, and you do get to see Buzz's enemy Zurg in this movie, which they kind of go all out with the whole Star Wars, Luke Skywalker, and Darth Vader jokes. So it is kind of funny. And when Woody came back home and that penguin toy was singing You Got a Friend in Me and some sort of jazzy lounge singer kind of thing or some doo-wop kind of thing, we thought that was the end of the toys, but no, 11 years later we had Toy Story 3, which I gotta give it credit. That movie was I think the movie was made for the people who had been watching since the beginning. I mean, kids could watch the third movie after seeing the second and third, but the third movie kind of goes for a darker, more prison break kind of movie. I mean, it doesn't get too... And some parts do get pretty disturbing. But anyway, Annie is off to college, which I think was kind of the next logical step after bringing that up in the second movie. And due to a mishap, the toys end up being put out with the garbage. They escape, thinking that Andy didn't want them anymore, so they end up going to the daycare center, which they realize is not the safe haven they thought it was, and Woody, having escaped earlier, has to go back and help them break out of there. And I'm not really sure what else we can say. The movie does have a darker tone. Like, there's a scene where there's a lot of dark shadows and scenes, some pretty creepy lighting, and it is kind of fun. Some of the scenes are kind of funny. Like the scene where they have to take out um, the crazy monkey in the security room. That was pretty, especially seeing Woody getting beat up by it. That was pretty funny. I said, oh man, I literally say Woody getting beat up by his monkey. Oh god, I thought you were supposed to be the one beating it. I thought that's how it worked, but okay. Did I literally make a masturbation joke in this? Oh god. Anyway. So, and I think what the movie, what I like more about this movie is that it has one main villain, which is the Lotso Bear, and it kind of works in the same way that Stinky Pete does, which is he seems like sort of a benign, friendly person, but then once you find out more about him, he becomes darker. And at least with Stinky Pete, he was frustrated because he was on a toy store shelf, saw every other toy get sold, and he was left behind. But Lotso just got angry that he was replaced and torpedoed everyone else's life out of selfishness. Um, so I think the one scene that I was really surprised about in this movie was the scene where they end up in the landfill and they end up in the incinerator. And there's a scene where it really looks like that the toys are just going to get burned up and die. When I first saw this in the theater, I had heard that people were crying at the end of it, and when I saw that scene, I was actually really shocked. I was thinking, well, no wonder people were crying at this. If this is how it ends, them getting killed, no wonder people cried at this. But and the ending where Andy gives the toys to the little girl Bonnie, when I first saw it the first couple times, I didn't really cry. And this time I kind of did when I saw it, because it is kind of emotional to see, because after everything you've been through with those characters, it is kind of heartbreaking, but it's also heartwarming to see Andy sort of be like the playful big brother to Bonnie, which also led to one of the funniest how it should have ended videos, where Andy decides to steal the toys back and he gets into a car crash because the toys freak him out. That was pretty fun. Anyway, just focus. Anyway, so all in all, Toy Story 3, I felt like it was kind of like Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, where it ended on that perfect shot, like Andy driving off to college and leaving the toys behind with a new owner. And that to me was sort of like the family film equivalent of Indiana Jones riding off into the sunset on horseback with his father and his friends. And then an unnecessary sequel was made, although from what I'm hearing, I really should have combed my hair before I did this. Anyway, but from what I'm hearing, Toy Story 4 turned out to be a good film. So all in all, I think with Toy Story 3, it's a great set of movies to look back on. It's one of the few movies where the sequels got better and stayed consistently strong and great. I mean, this is like one of the few movie series I can think of where the trilogy was consistently good. There weren't really that many complaints. And it didn't go the same route that a lot of mainstream trilogies went, which was first film kind of dark, happy-go-lucky. Second one, dark and gritty. Third one, hunky-dory. It kind of saved the dark stuff for the third movie. And I'm really impressed that it got away with a G rating. So, congrats. Seriously. But yeah, I just wanted to review these movies because the fourth one had come out. So I thought it would be a good time to review the Toy Story series. I'm not sure what movie I'm going to review this week, but I will do my cover on Monday, and I somehow managed to do this under 20 minutes, so, well, I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care.